Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when the burdens we carry feel unbearable, when the darkness around us seems too thick, when our hearts grow weary and our souls feel crushed under the weight of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. Many of you listening today have walked through seasons of hardship, through valleys of despair, where hope felt like a distant memory, like a flickering candle about to be snuffed out by the winds of adversity. But I stand before you today to remind you of a truth that cannot be shaken. There is hope, and that hope is not lost. Hope is the anchor of the soul, a light that breaks through the thickest clouds, a promise that what you are facing today is not the end of your story. Hope is not a fragile wish or a naive optimism. It is a steadfast confidence in the goodness of God, the unshakable assurance that no matter what you are going through, you are not alone. It is a hope that does not fade with circumstances, a hope that does not crumble under pressure. It is a hope that is alive, powerful, and unwavering. Yet, I know that many of you have struggled to hold on to that hope. Some of you have faced loss. Perhaps the loss of a loved one, the loss of a dream, the loss of a future you once envisioned so clearly. Others have been weighed down by anxiety, by the relentless worries of life, by the questions that have no immediate answers. You have prayed, you have cried out, and still you feel like you are in a storm that will never pass. But let me tell you this, storms do not last forever. The night may be long, but the morning is coming. The pain you feel today is not permanent. The sorrow you carry will not have the final word. There is a God who sees you, who knows you, who has not abandoned you. Even when you feel forgotten, you are held in the hands of a loving Father who is working all things together for your good. Even in your weakest moments, He is strong. Even when you cannot see the way forward, He is guiding your steps. I want to tell you today that you have a reason to hope again. No matter how broken you feel, no matter how far you have drifted, no matter how many times you have fallen, there is still hope for you. This hope is not based on your strength, not dependent on your ability to figure everything out, not rooted in the shifting sands of this world. This hope is found in the one who is the same yesterday, today, and forever, the one who has never failed and will never fail. Some of you have been carrying wounds for too long, wounds that have left you feeling abandoned, forgotten, and unworthy. The voices of shame and regret have told you that your best days are behind you, that your mistakes define you, that you are beyond redemption. But I want you to hear this today. Your past does not define you. Your failures do not have the final word over your life. There is a grace that is greater than your sins, a mercy that is deeper than your failures, a love that is stronger than your fears. There is someone listening right now who has been on the verge of giving up. You have convinced yourself that things will never change, that the weight you carry will always be there, that the pain will never leave. But I am here to tell you that restoration is possible. Healing is possible. Renewal is possible. You do not have to remain in the place of despair. You do not have to stay bound by the chains of fear and discouragement. When you feel like you cannot take another step, when the road ahead seems impossible, remember this. Hope is not found in what you see, but in the one who sees all things. Hope is not built on the shifting tides of circumstance, but on the rock that cannot be moved. When your strength fails, when your endurance runs dry, when your faith feels small, that is when the power of hope shines the brightest. You were not created to live in despair. You were not meant to carry your burdens alone. There is a peace that surpasses all understanding, a joy that is not dependent on circumstances, a love that never lets go. And today, that hope is reaching out to you, calling you back, reminding you that you are not forgotten, that you are not beyond redemption, that your story is not over. Hope does not mean that the road will always be easy. It does not mean that trials will never come, but it does mean that even in the storm, even in the fire, even in the valley, you are not alone. It means that you have a future, that there is a purpose for your life, that there is more ahead of you than behind you. And so I urge you today, do not give up. Do not let go. Do not allow the weight of today's troubles to steal the promise of tomorrow's joy. Hold on. Keep believing. Keep trusting. Because the one who holds the stars in place, the one who speaks and the mountains move, the one who calls you by name, he is not finished with you yet. Continue. You said, continue, ChatGPT said. And so, my friends, I implore you, do not let despair have the final word in your life. Do not surrender to the whispers that tell you it's too late, that you have strayed too far, that your hope is beyond repair. Hope is never truly lost. It may be buried under the weight of disappointment. It may be obscured by the trials of life, but it is never beyond restoration. You see, hope is not just a feeling. It is not just a fleeting emotion that comes and goes like the changing of the seasons. Hope is a foundation, an anchor, a certainty that no matter how fierce the storm, no matter how heavy the burden, you are held in the hands of the one who has overcome the world. There is someone listening right now who feels like they have been walking through a wilderness. You have been praying, crying out, waiting for an answer, and yet it seems as if the heavens are silent. You have questioned, where is God in my pain? Where is he in my struggle? But I want to tell you today, he is right there with you. He has not left you. He has not turned his face from you. Even when you cannot see him, even when you cannot feel him, he is working. Some of you have been fighting battles that no one else can see. You put on a brave face. You keep going through the motions, but inside you are weary. You are exhausted. You are wondering if you have the strength to keep moving forward. But hear me today. Hope is not found in your own strength. It is not found in your ability to hold everything together. Hope is found in the one who holds you, the one who strengthens you, the one who promises that when you are weak, he is strong. You may feel broken, but broken things can be restored. You may feel lost, but there is a way home. You may feel defeated, but there is victory ahead. You may feel like your story is coming to an end, but there is a new chapter waiting to be written. The enemy of your soul wants you to believe that there is no way forward, that your best days are behind you, that you are beyond redemption. But the truth is this: nothing is impossible. Nothing is beyond restoration. Think back to the times in your life when you thought you wouldn't make it, the moments when you thought the darkness would consume you, when the weight of your burden seemed too much to bear, and yet here you are. You made it through. You may have scars, but you are still standing. And if he carried you through then, he will carry you through now. I know there are some of you who feel like you have been waiting for far too long. You have prayed, you have trusted, you have believed, and yet nothing seems to change. But listen to me. Delayed does not mean denied. Just because you do not see it yet does not mean it is not coming. There is a purpose in the waiting. There is growth in the waiting. There is transformation happening in the waiting. If you are in a valley right now, if you are facing a battle, if you feel like you have no strength left, let me remind you, this is not the end. There is more ahead. There is a victory waiting for you. The story is not over. The struggle you are facing today will one day be a testimony of how you overcame. The pain you are walking through will one day be a testimony of healing. The darkness you feel will one day be overshadowed by a light that cannot be dimmed. So lift up your head, take a deep breath, keep pressing forward, because you are not defeated, you are not abandoned, you are not forgotten. Hope is alive and it is calling your name. Continue. You said, continue. ChatGPT said, hope is calling you out of the darkness. It is calling you to rise again, to believe again, to trust again. I know that life has not been easy. I know that there have been moments that have tested your faith, moments that have made you question everything. But let me tell you something. Your present struggle does not determine your future victory. Your pain is not the conclusion of your story. There are some of you who have been carrying a weight for far too long, a burden that you have convinced yourself you must carry alone. But that is not the way you were meant to live. You were not created to bear the weight of this life by yourself. You were not meant to walk through the fire alone. Hope is not just a distant dream. It is a lifeline. It is the assurance that even when everything seems to be falling apart, you are held together by something greater than yourself. Think about the sun. There are days when the sky is so thick with clouds that you cannot see it. The storms rage, the winds howl, and the rain pours down in torrents. But just because you cannot see the sun does not mean it has ceased to shine. It is still there behind the clouds, constant and steady. And in time, the storm will pass, the clouds will break, and the light will shine through once again. Some of you feel like you have been in that storm for far too long. The clouds have been heavy, the rain has been relentless, and you are wondering if you will ever see the light again. But I want you to know this: the storm will not last forever. The darkness will not consume you. The sun will shine again, and hope will rise within you once more. Maybe you have been praying for something to change, for a breakthrough, for a miracle, and you feel like nothing is happening. You feel like your prayers are going unanswered, like your cries are met with silence. But I want you to know, just because you do not see the answer yet does not mean it is not on the way. Sometimes the greatest battles come right before the greatest victories. Sometimes the most difficult seasons precede the most incredible breakthroughs. You may feel tired, you may feel weary, but do not give up now. You have come too far to turn back. You have fought too hard to surrender now. There is a purpose in your pain. There is meaning in your struggle. And one day you will look back on this season and see that even in the moments when you felt most alone, you were never alone. Hope is not something you have to earn. It is not something that is only for a select few. It is for you. It is for the brokenhearted. It is for the weary. It is for those who have stumbled and fallen, for those who have doubted and feared. It is for you right where you are in the midst of whatever you are facing. So take heart, hold on, keep believing, because the best is yet to come. The light is coming, the breakthrough is coming, and hope will not disappoint you. Hope will not disappoint you because it is not rooted in what you see, but in the one who sees beyond what you can imagine. It is not built on shifting circumstances, but on an unshakable foundation. It does not rest in fleeting emotions, but in a promise that has stood the test of time. Some of you have been searching for hope in places that cannot sustain it. You have placed your confidence in people, in possessions, in positions of status, only to find that they cannot fill the void in your heart. The truth is, if you look for hope in things that are temporary, your hope will be temporary. But when your hope is in something greater, something eternal, something unchanging, it will never fail you. Think about a tree standing in the middle of a storm. The winds may rage against it, the rain may pour down, and the lightning may strike all around it. But if its roots run deep, if it is planted in solid ground, it will stand. It may bend, it may sway, but it will not be uprooted. That is what true hope does. It keeps you standing even when everything around you is shaking. Some of you feel like you have been battered by the storms of life. You have faced disappointments, heartbreaks, and challenges that have left you wondering if you can withstand one more battle. But let me remind you, your strength is not measured by the storms you face. It is measured by the foundation upon which you stand. And if your hope is built on a foundation that cannot be shaken, then no storm will ever be strong enough to break you. There is a story of a man who had lost everything: his home, his family, his health. He had every reason to give up, every reason to believe that his life was over. But instead of surrendering to despair, he chose to hold on to hope. He chose to believe that restoration was possible, that healing was possible, that his story was not over. And in time, what was lost was restored. What was broken was healed. What seemed impossible became a testimony of victory. That same hope is available to you today. No matter what you have lost, no matter how deep the wounds, no matter how long you have been walking through the valley, restoration is possible. Healing is possible. A new beginning is possible. Do not believe the lie that says things will never change. Do not believe the voice that tells you your best days are behind you. You may not see the way forward yet, but that does not mean there is no way forward. You may not feel strong enough, but strength is not about feeling. It is about holding on even when you feel weak. The journey ahead may not always be easy. There will still be challenges. There will still be moments when you wonder if you have the endurance to keep going. But hear me today. Hope is worth holding on to. Because when you hold on to hope, you are holding on to a promise that cannot be broken. You are holding on to a future that is brighter than your past. You are holding on to the truth that even in the darkest night, the morning will come. So do not give up. Do not surrender. Do not let go of the hope that is reaching out to you today, because your story is not over. The best is yet to come.